Hey everyone, let's go through 1 John 2, 15 through 17. And I'm just going to warn you, today is a little bit meatier, it's a little bit longer, so I hope you have the time today to follow along. I hope you have the time for Jesus. Okay, guilt trip, now you have to. All right, do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. Now, there's no evidence at this time that the people to whom John is writing were under any persecution. They may have been unpopular amongst their peers, but that was the extent of it. In times like this, we're under an even greater threat, the threat of compromise. And in my opinion, it's the threat that we face today. Jesus says in Matthew 6:24, no man can serve two masters. We cannot love the world and love God at the same time. Now, in this scripture, John references three sins that are typical of loving the world. Lust of the flesh. Now, this includes sexual sin. I think we all know that. But it's not limited to sexual sin. That's not all of it. It's to live a life that's led by our senses and our earthly desires. When we want material things and we just want to attain things. And we don't care if they take advantage of somebody else. If we live in luxury and with no concern for those who are in need, when our own comforts and our own ambitions become our idols, this is living by the flesh. Now, lust of the eyes, that's the spirit that makes us see something and we just want to acquire it. And we want to acquire it so we can flaunt it. The spirit that is enthralled with outward show or appearances. And we know that God is not impressed by outward show or appearances. God looks at the heart. So we're looking at things not as God sees them, but at the world as the world does. And this lust of the eyes has the idea that our joy can be complete by achieving material things or laying hold of all that the eye can see or desire. Lastly, the pride of life. Here John uses the Greek word alazoneia. It sounds very romantic, right? You should say this to the person you love. You are my alazoneia. And they'll say, oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's so romantic. I love you too, right? But you shouldn't say that because it actually means braggart. It's someone who wants to impress anyone and everyone with their own self-importance, whether real or not real. If you've ever lived your life in this way, by the world's standard, it only leads to disappointment. And I know you know that. You've felt that, right? We're never happy. We're never satisfied. There's always something else that will make us happy. There's always more to gain. And we never find complete joy. We're never satisfied. But there's another danger as Christians of loving the world in this way. I heard a sermon recently describing the church as the moon, whose job it is to shine light over the darkness of the world. And God is the sun. And we have no light of our own. We reflect his light upon the world. An eclipse happens when the earth gets in between the sun and the moon. And in many ways, this is what's happened to the church. We've embraced the world. We've embraced their standards and not God's. And in doing so, we've allowed the world to get in between the church and God. And we're not shining our light. We don't shine a light when we live this way. If you put God first, if you accept his moral standard and seek him, I promise you, your joy will be complete. And not only that, but it will spread to the world around you. And the world needs to see this.